Hey everyone, thank you all for tuning in once again to another installment of our thoughts and encouragement. I want to take a brief moment and talk about streaming services. I wasn't made aware that there may have been some issues with our Facebook feed on Sunday. Two things I want you all to know is one, Facebook was not created to be a video streaming or sharing platform. And therefore, it is inadequate at times, and so sometimes it just has a little bit of an issue. If you are experiencing a difficulty with the streaming process, there are many things that could be happening. Everything from your internet connectivity to our streaming capabilities. It could also be something with Facebook itself, and so those are things that those just happen. It's part of the whole streaming thing. But I will let you know that if you are encountering something, the YouTube feed is having very little difficulties. And so if you want to, YouTube was made for streaming and sharing videos. And so I would say, hey, go ahead and check out the YouTube feed. And then if you're comfortable and you really want to, there is one service that is never interrupted or never glitchy, and that would be the in-person service, and it really can't be beat. But I understand if you're not comfortable or at that point yet, hopefully those things change in the next couple of months. But streaming will never be the same as in-person services. No matter how much we try, how much money we throw at it, it'll never be the same. And so, if you do choose to come, I recommend the 8:30 service because there are a lot more open seats, and you're able to social distance quite a bit more. All right, on to the message for tonight. Moving is hard. Yes, packing up and selling our house is tough. Saying goodbye to 350 of our closest friends is even more difficult. But not knowing what's about to happen, what our future hold, that's probably the hardest. Life is good for us here at Mountainside. I have a great job. I love the people that I worship with. The area is nice. I have so many people that love me. And as I have been told time and time again, Tom, you don't have to leave. You can stay here. And yes, this thought is tempting. To stay here would be easier. To stay here would be more secure. In short, it would be comfortable. And this thought reminds me of our Christian walk. The writer of Hebrews, he puts it this way. Hebrews chapter 10, verses 35 through 39. Do not throw away this confident trust in the Lord. Remember the great reward it brings you. Patient endurance is what you need now so that you will continue to do God's will. Then you will receive all that he has promised, for in just a little while the coming one will come and not delay, and my righteous ones will live by faith. But I will take no pleasure in anyone who turns away. But we are not like those who turn away from God to their own destruction. We are the faithful ones whose souls will be saved. This passage in Hebrews chapter 10, it's sandwiched between the struggles that the early church has already endured. And then the writer goes into list all the great heroes of faith in chapter 11. And you could go through that list and imagine that yes, it would have been easier for Noah to not build an ark. And it would have been easier if Abraham stayed in Ur. Moses could have remained a shepherd, and Rahab could have ignored the spies, and the list goes on and on. And yes, it would have been easier and more comfortable if Jesus would have never left the splendor of heaven. Yes, the author and perfecter of our faith embodies this concept of not always taking the easy way out, of not choosing to turn away from the things that are more difficult in their life. Yes, as a Christian, there are always easier paths. Sometimes it's easier to keep silent. Sometimes it's easier to just go along with the crowd. Sometimes it's easier to not even bring up the good news. And sometimes it's easier to not take a risk. At the beginning of all of this, the writer of Hebrews encourages us not to throw our trust in the Lord. And he says our confident trust, this idea that you know that it will be provided for. And we do this with the understanding that God is already taking care of us so far. And he has already promised and provided a way to secure a spot for us in heaven. And so when we look about things like these risky ideas of moving, yes, there is an easier path. Yes, there are easier things to do. But just because it's easier doesn't always mean that it's better. So as Christians, we trust first, and we don't always take the easy path. Thank you, and God bless.